and welcome to a very rainy allotment. It's absolutely pouring down here. It's freezing cold. We've had rain, we've had snow, we've had wind, like much of the country. But I'm down here today anyway. I just wanted to show you what I do when it is bad weather down at the allotment. Okay, so the first thing I do is I just go around the allotment and I just see if there's anything that's been blown over, if there's anything that needs picking up, if there's anything that's been damaged due to the weather. Okay, so the first thing I'd look at is any netting that's on. This looks like it's on pretty strong, so that should be absolutely fine. The polytunnel, that's another thing that I always check, but the polytunnel looks absolutely fine as well. It has been really, really windy, so I was quite worried about that. Then I just walk around and see if anything's been knocked over. So wheelbarrows, chairs, benches, anything at all that's been blown over, but it actually looks like everything's fine and nothing has been blown over. So that's the first thing I do. Second thing I do is I just walk around and just make a mental note of anything that does need doing. So it just really brings me up to speed with what needs to be done. It's almost that time out time. When we come down here, usually we've got something to do, we've got a job to do, and you sometimes don't notice everything that does need to be done. So I just sort of work my way around the plot, having a look, taking a mental note of anything that does need to be done. So if I come over to the compost area, it just does need a little bit of a tidy. So probably a 10-minute job, bit of a tidy. So if I look at this bench here, there's a slat missing, so that's something that needs to be doing. So Vince can either take all these up and put some pieces of pallet wood on there, or some other bits of wood he's got, or we might even be able to find the piece that's missing, but that's something that does need doing. Okay, so down here next to my compost, there is some Jerusalem artichokes growing. As you can see, there's just grass there, there's leaves, that all needs to be weeded, and probably a mulch put over there ready for when they start coming up. So that's another thing that needs doing. If I come round to my wildlife pond, really exciting that the daffodils are starting to come up, but that still needs to be just filled in with wood chip around there. So that's another job that needs doing. This whole area here has never had anything growing in it since I've had the plot. So this is an area that does need a lot of work. We're going to have completely no dig beds here, so this needs to be worked on. I need to go home and actually think of a plan of what I need to do with this area. So that's another thing. Although I'm not making the plan now, I know that I need to make a plan for this area. I've got a big pile of wood here that we haven't used. This all needs to be taken back home and either disposed of or used somewhere else. Okay, so over in this area, nothing really needs doing. These beds do need filling, and again I need to come up with a plan of what I want to put in these beds, but at the moment there's not much to do here. It's not a job for now. I've got all my beds here. The asparagus bed doesn't need anything doing to it. I've just mulched that. This is where my sweet corn and my climbing French beans were last year. This needs a good mulch on top, but apart from that there's nothing really that needs doing here. These beds have got my broad beans in that I overwintered. There's only a few left, but I'm not going to be doing anything with these beds because the broad beans that I started at home, I'm just going to add to this bed. Okay, so then over to the polytunnel. This needs another weed and it needs to get ready for the growing season. So this is quite a big job that I need to do. But again, I need to go home and I need to think about a plan of what I want to do with the polytunnel. So the polytunnel and the area over here that I haven't ever grown in, they both need plans doing at home. So that's something now, due to the bad weather, that I can actually do. I can sit at home and think of a plan of this area and the polytunnel. Last year, around November time, I planted some daffodils around my apple tree. They've actually come up and they're starting to flower. So that's really exciting. I'm really pleased with that. I also got some snowdrops. I think they cost 15p a pack the end of last year. I didn't think they were going to do anything, but I planted them just in case, took my chances, and they have come up and they have flowered. Hopefully they might get stronger next year. I have also got some bulbs coming up in this bed which I haven't planted. This must be something that was planted by the previous allotment holder, but it's nice to see the spring bulbs coming up anyway. I've got a question for everyone. I've got something growing under my other apple tree and I don't know what it is. I think it might be a cuckoo pine. Don't know how you say that, but if you have a look, If anyone knows what this is, please let me know. Another good thing is that my shallots are starting to come up. I got these in the sale again. I think they were about 15p as well, so I'm really pleased they're coming up. I have still got one cabbage going as well, so I'm really pleased about that. I mean, that has taken such a beating, so I'm pleased it's still going. The last thing I like to do, now that I've been round, looked at what jobs needing doing, make sure nothing's blown over, look at the good things that are happening, I like to have a nice cup of tea. So I'm going to take a sit down now, have a nice cup of tea and enjoy being at the allotment. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you again soon.